Hello everyone and welcome to an incredible game that just ended from the Women's European Team Championship 2023. It is Greece versus Ukraine, and on board one we have Stavroula Tsolakidou versus Nataliya Buksa. And I've already made a video named The Greatest Queen Sacrifice of 2023, but I made it already in January because I thought, okay, there's no way that anyone tops that, but this could very well be the Queen Sacrifice that topped that Queen Sacrifice. If you haven't seen that video, it's the one, of course, between Max Farmerdam and Jerguš Pehac, first link in the description below. So if you haven't seen it, check out that Queen Sacrifice before you watch this one, and then you guys will be the judge of that, and then only one video will remain with this title until the end of time, so it's a pretty big responsibility if you decide to do that. Now let's check it out. We've already seen a game by Stavroula a month ago on this channel from the Women's Club Cup. She played against Elena Danielian with that tricky knight, and it was a really wild attacking game. So let's see what she has in store for us this game. Really wild stuff here. So we have pawn to e4 by Stavroula and pawn to c5 by Nataliya, going for the Sicilian defense. We have knight to f3, knight to c6, and d4. Okay, pretty standard stuff. Captures, captures, knight to f6, knight to c3, and e5. And one thing that I think you guys might find interesting is that their game is following a game Magnus Carlsen played against Sergei Karyakin, or rather Sergei Karyakin played against Magnus Carlsen to about move 21. So let's check out what happened here. Knight e5, knight d to b5, going for the Lasker Sicilian or the Sveshnikov Sicilian or the Pelikan Sicilian. All depends on how you call it. d6, we have knight to d5 now, going for knight to c7 check. And of course the knight gets traded off. Captures, captures, and now in the World Chess Championship match between Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana, Magnus, there's a game where he played knight to b8, he played knight to e7 here, and they are following that game, pawn to c4, knight to g6, and now queen to a4, threatening all sorts of nasty discoveries. I'm sure you guys remember this. Bishop to d7, and now queen to b4. We have bishop to f5, also queen to b8 is possible. Magnus even played it in one of the games. Bishop to f5, and now queen back to a4. Bishop to d7, sort of maybe looking for a repetition, but not really. They're just playing it out the exact same way Magnus and Caruana did, or Magnus and Karyakin did. We have pawn to h4, pawn to h5, and now in that game 12 of the World Chess Championship match, Fabiano Caruana played bishop to e3 against Magnus, but here we have bishop to g5, following in the footsteps of Sergei Karyakin against Magnus, queen to b8, and now bishop to e2. We have pawn to a6. Finally, Nataliya catches her breath, and she has time to kick away the knight from b5, knight to c3, and queen to c7. Again, all very well-known stuff. g3 and bishop to e7. Now trying to trade off the dark square bishops. Bishop back to e3, and now pawn to e4, freeing up that e5 square for the knight, and then from here the knight has access to d3 to f3 to g4, whatever is needed. We have castles, and now bishop captures on h5. Again, everything the same as in the mentioned game. Knight to e5, and now in that game Sergei Karyakin played bishop to e2, which interestingly is the strongest move recommended by the engine. But here we have bishop to d4. Here we have the first deviation, and it is now only as of move 22 that we have a completely new game, and this is where our game begins. So let's see what happened. First of all, why did Karyakin avoid bishop to d4 against Magnus Carlsen? Well, he avoided it due to knight to d3. It's a very scary move, which Nataliya goes for. And now she asks, what is your next move? Okay, queen to b3. The queen is attacked. You have to move it. Queen b3. Now bishop captures on h4. And now you see that you run into a lot of trouble due to this bishop to d4 move, as now the knight is here, the pawn is here, the bishop is here. Once you capture the bishop, the queen also joins the attack, and it seems either black will win this by checkmate, or white will have to settle for a perpetual. But although that is possible, it's very, very tricky to achieve this. G captures on h4, queen to e7, and now knight to e2. The knight will be an important defender of this position. Queen captures on h4, and now knight to g3. And now just knight to f4, putting pressure on the bishop here, but also with some very nasty ideas of queen h3 followed by queen to g2 checkmate. So what can you do here? Well, knight captures on f5, the bishops get traded off, knight captures on f5, and now queen captures on h5. And now the position is completely winning for Stavroula, but you have to be incredibly precise in order to do it, and that's exactly why I think this very well could be the greatest queen sacrifice of 2023, not because it's flashy, not because there are like 3 moves that are winning and okay, she just chose that one. It's because it's the only move that wins the game. So feel free to pause the video and win the game for Stavroula while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on this move that no one would do, you know, with an easy heart. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is queen to g3. We can even do it in slow motion, as you guys deserve it. There you go, queen to g3, running right into knight to e2 check. Look at this beautiful fork. Knight e2 checks the king, the queen, and the bishop here. Not that it's important, but it is visually appealing, the reason why queen to g3 is so strong, I just have to point this out, why it's so nice, is because, okay, you could start with something else. You don't have to start with queen to g3. Let's say you start with knight to e7 with check. Can you start with that? King to h7, and now play queen to g3. Seems like it's the same idea. Not really. Now black has g5, and now it doesn't work. How do you proceed here? If rook e1, you go after the pawn to f5. Yes, black is down a piece, but those pawns are incredibly scary, and there's no good way to force anything here with white. However, if you start with queen to g3 and sacrifice your queen, now the queen has to be accepted. If you go back, I mean, you're just down a piece, so white can play pretty much anything, and it's completely winning. After queen to g3, if you try the same idea of g5, now it doesn't work, because rook f to e1, you don't have f5. So yeah, you can't really defend this. If rook 8 to e8, okay, you want to defend the pawn that way. Now just play knight captures on d6, and I mean, remember, black is down material. If black doesn't have checkmate, black is lost. So after queen to g3, there is but one move, and that is knight to e2 check. I mean, it's always a scary feeling in chess where your strongest move is to take your opponent's queen, but that's exactly what your opponent wants, and it will cost you the game. So okay, knight to e2 with check, king to g2, and knight captures on g3. So what's the idea behind the queen sacrifice? The idea is knight to e7 check, forcing the king to the h file, and this is where the rooks will reign supreme. So king to h7, and now f captures on g3. And okay, it's black's move. It seems like you will move the queen and you're not gonna lose the queen, but even if you try, let's say queen to e2 check, rook f2, and now you just move the queen, rook h1 is mate in 1. The knight controls g8 and g6, and that's checkmate. So after f captures on g3, you have to decide, do you want to give up the queen or the game? It's always better to give up the queen, so king to h6 was played, and Nataliya wants to have the g5 square ready for her king, but now just rook to h1, winning back material, and that's all there is. Queen captures on h1 was played, we have rook captures on h1 with check, king to g5, and now bishop captures on g7, and it seems like, okay, it's still 2 rooks against the rook, bishop, and knight. Maybe black can still play this, so rook f to e8, but now the position is still completely winning for Stavroula, but only if you find one precise move that wins the game. Feel free to pause the video and win the game while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on not blundering the knight, because as you see, the knight has no squares. You cannot save the knight just like that. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook to f1. The only move that wins the game here, this is what she played, and now there is no choice other than to resign. She played a few more moves. Of course, now if the knight is captured, then just bishop to f6 with check. King will move, bishop captures on e7, leaves Stavroula up a full bishop, so that's not going to happen. So after rook to f1, e3 was played, but now just bishop to f6 check, and now it was, I believe, in I will check, I don't want to trick you guys, let me just check the correct, yeah, it was in this position on move 36 that Nataliya Buksa resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. You're getting checkmated whatever you play. For example, king to g4, just rook to f4 check, king h5, and rook to h4 will be checkmate. So incredible game, and incredible. It's not. I mean, sometimes okay, you sacrifice your queen forcefully, you take something, then your opponent takes something. But here, it sort of looks like you're blundering your queen, that you've blundered this knight to check. But in fact, you want it to happen, and the worst thing for your opponent is that it's actually the strongest move recommended by the engine. It's just not enough. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Brilliant stuff by Stavroula, Tsolakidou, featured second time on the channel, and both times with incredible games. So we are definitely hoping to see more. Yeah, do check out the Max Farbenarm versus Jergush Pehaj game, and vote which one takes the Game of the Year award, as I will remove the title from one of these videos. Really hope you enjoyed it. I don't think we've ever had such a fine offering with a fork. But hoping definitely to see more. I would like to thank Kevin Clark, Stefan Rakocevic, Andreas Rosenthal, Malaki Hevehen, and no need to put my name in your thanks box for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.